kind of feel like pushed in. I'm Natalie Gould. I'm a member of the Labor Party for my sins, and I have been, in November I will have been a member of the Labor Party for 40 years. I disagree with Nancy. I think that certainly the young people who come into Gould's are not conservative and they're willing to fight back. And I think it's a matter of us actually organising them and showing some leadership, not being pessimistic about them. But the only other thing I wanted to say was, when is the motion happening on Thursday? In terms of direct action, I want to be there. I'd like to see what my Labor Party colleagues do. And I think we should all be there. Anybody who can turn up on Thursday should be there. Direct action doesn't just mean standing in front of bulldozers, though sometimes that's necessary. It also means turning up to Parliament House. It means being vocal, and it means being everywhere. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. No offence taken about this is not going to be solved by political solutions. I am the first ones to say that if we don't build the movement on the streets, our parliaments will never catch up. But I would say, in terms of the timing on Thursday, we're just confirming basically how it works in the lower house. Because the government has the numbers, they can choose if they want to introduce some random thing, suspend standing orders, and we don't get our motion up. But if everything goes to plan, it looks like it'll be about 10:30, 11 o'clock. But Emma is standing at the back there. She has a green clipboard. On that clipboard, you can put your name and your number. So if you would like to join us on Thursday, add your name to that. We can also then keep you informed if they push it back or try and stuff us around in terms of the timing. Then we can let you know and send you a message. But looking like what it will be is 10:30 this Thursday, if all goes to plan. And it's true, you don't have to stand in front of a bulldozer or a truck. Being able to show that it's visible, whether or not it's when the WestCONnex Action Group sends out a call and says, can you make a phone call to this minister, to this person now? Can you actually rock up at this small action outside of an information session? All of those things matter, because the more that we show the diversity of this movement, and there have been a whole lot of young people involved up until this point taking strong stands on this, as long as we show that there is a diversity of views and a diversity of people that are opposed to it, the more powerful our movement will be.
I think we've just got one more comment on this.
Wireless technology would be a wonderful thing. One of the things that often gets to community campaigners, and I've been doing this now since about 2008, is a feeling of despondence. Because you look at the various parties and you go, why aren't they listening? I think Roosevelt's is the one who said that, and if he didn't, I'm going to misquote him. The art of politics is forcing me to do what you want. And the Labor Party in 2008, when they were considering building the M5, were initially for it, and then the community got up, they rang their MPs, and I repeat this again, ring your MP, ring Anthony Albanese, ring Tanya Plibersek, and after enough phone calls, they were out there, standing up, arguing against it, which is why Tanya has now delivered a stronger statement, and Joe Halen is now coming out strongly against it. You need to call Luke Foley, you need to put pressure on the party executives, and you need to put pressure, if you're a Labor member, on your executives, because it's the executive of the Labor Party that is where this will be swung. And if we move Labor, then that's federal funding. And once federal funding and state funding, once the funding starts to get a little shaky, things become a lot harder for them. So everything we do as a community is very important. Don't be disheartened. In the end, it was Neville Wran who stood with the protesters in Fig Street and saved Glebe in the inner west. If it wasn't for that direct action, making it so the then opposition leader, had no choice, we would have had a freeway on the surface all the way through Glebe, Forest Lodge, Leichhardt, and just destroying the inner city. We have power in our voices.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Hi, I'm Jackie Whidden from Erskineville. I'm a resident. I've just got two quick questions. One is about, following on from the comment about Thursday, is should we flood people with letters, phone calls before Thursday? Is that that's one strategy we can take. And also I just wondered about the relationship of the various groups and members with local councils. Like what's, I know that one of the rallies I went to, Clover Moore spoke very passionately against the WestCONnex, but I just wondered in terms of shops and businesses whether the local councils are taking a strong role as well.
Yeah, thanks Jackie. I think depending on how local people are, if I am your local state MP, there's no need to write or ring me. I think my position on WestCONnex is clear. Interestingly, Tanya Plibersek does suggest that you write to me and let me know your views, but I am pretty clear on the views of the people of Newtown when it comes to WestCONnex. You don't need to convince me. But in terms of others, or if you know other people, that I think one of the powerful things that actually can be done is to actually reach out. So we're looking at the local members for Canterbury, for Summerhill, for Lakemba, for Cogra. So if you know people that live in that area or you have those connections, they are local members that it would be great to encourage before Thursday to stand up and not only support the motion but actually get up and speak on it, because the more local members that we have speaking on this debate, the longer that motion will be debated for. So we could go for a very long time if there were a lot of members that stood up and expressed their views. So that certainly should be encouraged, and we'll share an email around with the details to our connection list, but as I said at the back to Emma. Sorry, I can't remember the second. Oh, and the councils, yeah. So we've been joining, so following the state election in March, Clover Moore and I co-hosted a roundtable of WestCONnex action groups and other community groups that were opposed to WestCONnex, both at the Town Hall and then at Parliament. We brought together on that council, Marrickville Council then joined us and attended, Ashfield Council joined us and attended, and I think that Leichhardt Council also joined us and attended. So basically what we had then was a growing support within that area from local councils that were actually coming out and opposing WestCONnex. There is a lot of work to be done further afield, but I do feel that it is slowly spreading, and that's what we need to see happen.
Thank you. We've got a question down the back. My name's Julia O'Connor. I'm a volunteer with the Cooks River Valley Association. We've been monitoring the water quality on the Cooks River for about 10 years. We were contacted by a company called ACOM. They're using some of the results from Streamwatch to prepare the environmental impact study. My question to the panel is, what method and parameters are ACOM, it's a company in Fortitude Valley in Queensland, using to model or monitor the impact of the WestCONnex in the environmental impact study?
Well, I can't speak for AECOM. AECOM is probably one of the world's, well, certainly one of the nation's largest consulting firms.
And the world's biggest engineer.
Oh, the world's biggest. They do basically almost all of these EIS and consultant stuff. So what used to happen is there used to be these things called departments that used to have these people called public servants. Now, public servants were people like engineers and water quality managers who knew stuff and were paid to do stuff in the public interest. But then they were made more efficient by being shipped off to these consultants, and now we seem to spend several $1 million just considering whether or not to buy new trains. $6 million precisely in 1 year to determine whether to buy new trains. So AECOM, I would be very cautious about giving them your data, mainly because what happens then is a bit nebulous. So I would definitely speak to Wendy Bacon, who's more familiar with this. Be cautious about it. I can't tell you how they're going to model it, but they will be probably the ones doing a large chunks of the EIS. So if you see them out and about, let the local WAGs know. If you get contacted by anyone, let the WAGs know, because that little bit of information was priceless, and thank you.
Thank you. We've only got a couple more minutes for questions from the floor, so I do want to go to people who haven't spoken first, if that's okay. So can we come to the person down here?
Thanks. I'm Pico. I actually live in St Peters as well, across the road from Simpson Park, which it sounds like it's going to be preserved, while the houses on the other side of Campbell Street are likely to come down for the widening. And I gather that was chosen as an option because they thought there would be less fuss about getting rid of houses than there would be about getting rid of the Moreton Bay figs in the park. Now, I really think that is arse about, but it tells you the way they are thinking quite carefully about who they're targeting and how over this whole effort. They're very politically conscious that there is opposition. Now, that's our strongest card. And the reason I wanted to actually speak was to say this. Having been through the experience with the EIS for the third runway, I would urge a great deal of caution on spending a huge amount of effort on this because it was the greatest diversion from actually fighting the third runway in a way that might have made a difference. Instead, we concentrated on trying to deal with the EIS, deal with its stupidities, deal with its inaccuracies, blah, 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 blah. Wasted the best part of 14 months on that. We haven't got time. We've actually got to get out there and stop the bulldozers, stop the drilling, stop the trucks, and that means next week, next month, not waiting around for the EIS. Yeah,
I think
the chances of those sort of things actually having the kind of wind that we've seen around the Galilee Basin mine are pretty, really remote. And really, the thing that is going to make the difference is going to be persistence and being there when they start trying to do things. So I'd really urge people to get involved with the WestCONnex action. I think that's the best message we've heard. But look, there are lots of ways of doing these things, and we don't all have to stand in front of the bulldozers. There's plenty of actions that we need mass activity around. And that includes turning up at places like the Parliament and demonstrations in the streets and turning up outside parliamentarians' houses, etc.
Okay, thank you. And we've got one up the back. A gentleman up the back.